A few weeks ago, data miners in the Dota 2 community found a variable within a recent Dota 2 patch hinting towards the next major content update, apparently called the Dark Carnival. The string itself, being a variable associated with whether a user is actually a part of the quote-unquote Dark Carnival update, was reported on quite widely within that community, and effectively gave away Valve's upcoming secret major content update. However, it became clear that somebody on the Dota 2 team was upset that the secret was known through this data mining of strings, and in the next Dota 2 patch, the variable that gave away the Dark Carnival update name was renamed to "Why Are You Reading Our Variables?" This is a funny little nod to the relationship between data miners and Valve software. Data mining their patches in order to predict what comes next is something that this community overall has been doing for about 15 to 20 years. So it's confusing to me that this little change, this little jokey reference from Valve software to data miners got so much public attention. However, it's not at all surprising that the majority of the individuals who were reporting on the situation as headline news miscontextualized the entire thing as some kind of angry message from Valve to the individuals data mining the Half-Life franchise and speculating on the future of the series through codename HLX. The in-joke from Valve software, the changing variable, was a direct reference to the Dota 2 community for spoiling the then next major content update called the Dark Carnival. This had absolutely nothing to do with HLX, the Half-Life community, or any other Valve property outside of the Dota 2 universe. Individuals in the press or on YouTube attempting to contextualize this story within the Half-Life framing is only doing so they can put Half-Life 3 in their titles. It's not at all what happened. So this video is sponsored by 8BitDo, and this is kind of personal for me at this point because I've actually been using controllers from that company for well over a decade now. And today we're going to be talking about the Ultimate Wireless 2 and the Ultimate Wireless 2C. If you want the most complete controller that 8BitDo makes right now, that is the Ultimate 2 Wireless. We have TMR joysticks, we have 1,000 polling rate for both 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi and wired connection, Pro back buttons, we have L4 and R4 bumpers. We have trigger mode switching. These switches right here, we got analog triggers, switch them. Digital triggers. And it also works really well with Steam setups. There's actually a website to show you how to set up this controller for Steam. I just disconnected this charging dock and it also automatically connects. It's not plugged in, but for something more straightforward and budget focused, you have the Ultimate 2C. We have Hall Effect joysticks and Hall Effect triggers. We have the same 1,000 hertz polling rate with a really clean, low latency experience, and it's a reliable, everyday controller without any of the extra complexity of the two. Two controllers, two types of players, links to both, and a full breakdown of how to best operate these on Steam. Thank you so much to 8BitDo for sponsoring this video. But the Dark Carnival update did recently release, and within it was a significant amount of new strings related to all currently in development projects at Valve, and this is all surrounded by a lot of other smaller events that seem to be adding up to the same story. The Dark Carnival update is huge. Unfortunately, I'm not a big Dota 2 fan, so I really can't enjoy the amount of effort that they put into it. Dark Carnival itself has a long story being told through voice-acted comics, kind of like a visual novel, similar to what Deadlock is likely to get in the future. The individuals who are voice acting the characters that are found within the Dark Carnival update are crazy. Within the first chapter of the released Dark Carnival visual novel, the next few chapters will release weekly, we have Merle Dandridge, the original voice of Alex Vance, working with Valve officially, voicing Legion Commander. It should be stated that although Merle Dandridge did give her voice to Legion Commander in the initial release of Dota 2, future updates and Legion Commander appearances in other games such as Artifact 1 and 2 and Underlords were voiced by other people. That's exciting. That's interesting. Awesome. That's great to hear. Who else is in the Dark Carnival update? Oh, Mike Shapiro is back voicing Oracle. Mike Shapiro, of course, is best known for his work as Barney Calhoun or the G-Man. Interesting. So they got Merle and Barney. Who else did they get? Wait, who else did they get for the... Harry? Wait, they got Harry back? Hold on. Holy crap. So Harry Robbins voices Tinker in Dota 2, and this is the first time that he's revoiced Tinker in quite a while. In fact, in an interview with the Vok podcast, Harry S. Robbins said this.
You know, when you work in Hollywood, they take your first check as the dues, and you have to keep paying the dues. And for a while, I wasn't doing the voice work and the dues were heavy to pay, so I stopped paying them. Now, when I started again, the second time you mentioned, they were interested in having me, so they just paid the dues, which was good. I have been lapsed in paying the dues, and so that might be now a barrier to me working for them again. I don't know.
Wow, they put a lot of effort into getting Alex Vance, Barney Calhoun, and Dr. Kleiner in a Dota 2 update. Interesting. It's probably nothing. It's probably just for Dota 2, huh? So within the update itself, what was data mined? All this. Whoa! Graphical fidelity. Wow, a lot of this has to do with graphical fidelity. What's going on with all this graphical fidelity stuff? Subpixel anti-aliasing exclusively for HLX? GPU-driven particle effects with dynamic flashlight radiuses and stuff? Huh? Wait, a MIDI system with rhythmic beat patterns built into the engine itself? Huh? Why? Left 4 Dead's tone map controller. What? Even more tool icons? Like, a lot more tool icons? Wow, they're really getting these tools to the point where they're like, you could almost like sell them. I don't think they'd sell them, but why are they making all these tool icons? What is a DNA rig? Deformable geometry. Optimizations with save load systems. Interesting. GPU-driven audio built within the hammer. Further refinement of water. Water material 2. Animation events for NPCs to enter and exit vehicles being added. That's weird. Create movable surface graph for dynamic prop and funk mover. On layer cycle updated, on external choreograph changed in the anim graph base? More choreograph controllers, interesting. Choreo strafe modes. The precipitation V data file has been refactored. NPC animation handshakes and path quarries. Ragdolls now have mass and buoyancy scales. Water parameters within post-processing fog scattering parameters. Oh, upscaling support for more than just FSR. Oh, interesting. It just seems like we're moving a lot more onto the GPU. No collision attribute and zero gravity attribute added into client physics. The game is now checking if liquid spills are exposed to the sky. Only render in effects water pass was added into the HLX branch for both the render models and the render-based source 2. Disabling non-static collisions, decay from wake, motion disable, and zero gravity particle attribute flags for HLX. Scene object meshlet visualization. Use world space up in detailed prop model. Updates to closed captions and force combine chatter console variables, and a bunch new mesh shader related console variables. It seems like this is all graphical or general fidelity. Interesting. I wonder if I have something to say about that. Did you hear the youngest person ever went to Valve Software? Kane Parsons got to tour Valve, the Backrooms guy. Here's the real talk about that. Kane seems to be hinting towards something. He's young, you know, whatever. Young people seem to sometimes hint a bit too much. Half-Life Alyx beta build being streamed. But to be completely honest, because I'm getting this question a lot, let's just throwing this out there. Yeah, Valve might let him do it. I don't know. But it seems as if he's starting to tweet a lot of stuff that isn't even completely Valve. I just want to bring your attention to this picture from his Instagram feed or whatever. I've never seen this in the Valve offices. There is a hallway at Valve where Combine walls are decorated on the sides of a single hallway. This, however, what is this? What did they, like, what is this? So, of course, I'm sure you've heard the Steam Machine is released, kind of. Some people have them, although the red line of death, I guess, is a thing. I'm apparently within the reservation queue, but I'm recording this on a Friday, and apparently the order emails went out on Monday, and I've still not received mine. The Steam Machine is expensive, and the Steam Machine is disappointingly underpowered. It seems as if a lot of people are impressed by the build quality and the ambition of Valve Software, but the games themselves are not running at 4K 60, and in fact, they changed their advertising to say that the games will run at 4K 60 to the games will run up to 4K 60, using things like FSR upscaling. So it's a little bit of a disappointment, and it's apparent that they're not going to be able to manufacture as many as they want, and that market saturation of Linux product is not going to occur. It's not technically Valve's fault in this case, but it is a situation where, once again, Valve's efforts to be able to really push Linux into people's lives is kind of being stopped at different places. I'm still eventually going to get one, but the general consensus is that this thing is less powerful than PlayStation 5 and is a lot more expensive than one. While that's happening, we're also learning, disappointingly, that the Deadlock team does not have a major content update coming at all anytime soon, even though the distance between all of Deadlock's major content updates have been getting longer and longer. The time between the big 6 Hero update and the Old Gods update is now shorter than the amount of time it's been since the Old Gods update was released, and Yoshi, the team lead on Deadlock, has stated that although they have a couple big things in the works, and they're not coming out anytime soon. It seems as if the Deadlock team just is keeping their heads down and working on making sure that they can figure out how the urn works. Maybe the Deadlock team is really just the Deadlock and Dota 2 team, and they go back and forth, and maybe they were all helping out with the Dark Carnival update. Maybe there was something else that people needed to go all hands on. Maybe there's another thing they're trying to finish. I don't know, but it seems as if Deadlock has kind of slowed down a little bit, just slightly. That's, just throwing that out there. And Ragnarök is not a new physics engine. It's not brand new. It's an evolution, it's a refactor, it's an optimization on Rubicon. Rubicon is the flagship physics engine that's been running in Source 2 since 2015. And recently, there was a big announcement by a physics engine programmer named Aaron Caddo, who was best known for Box 2D, announcing a new thing called Box 3D. It's an open source 3D physics engine, and it is incredibly impressive. So I'm just going to read the section of the blog post that you're likely most familiar with. Quote, "My friend Dirk Gregorius is an accomplished physics programmer, having shipped a custom physics engine in Half-Life Alyx called Rubicon. Dirk maintains a hobby/home version of Rubicon. Let's call this Rubicon Lite. He suggested that I could fork Rubicon Lite and modify it to my needs. So that's what I did. I hooked Rubicon Lite directly into Unreal. It works great. We got gyroscopic torques and trees fell nicely. Everything just worked." And then he talks about he's working on stuff, and then says, quote, "On the Valve side, Rubicon continues to evolve, and Dirk has developed optimizations similar to those in Box 3D in a new engine called Ragnarök. Look for that in future Valve games." And it's very odd seeing this individual state that Ragnarök will be in quote-unquote future Valve games. The games that are currently in development at Valve, aside from one, are multiplayer and do not need really finite physics engines for props and items to exist within the game space. So if we can all just be adults and kind of rumor mill here a bit and understand that until Valve says something officially, everything that we talk about here should be taken with a grain of salt and should be seen as speculation. The story of Valve software is one of honing in one's own ambition and scope. Every major single player and in some cases multiplayer games that Valve have released within their entire history, nearly 30 years, all include a specific point within that development cycle where everybody looked at each other and realized that maybe they were biting off a little bit more than they could chew. So, unfortunately, it's no surprise that when every single insider was assuming that something major was occurring within HLX in the bottom half of 2025, and then nothing occurred, we could probably take a guess exactly what happened. Around January or February, people were hearing October. Around May to June, people were hearing November. But then something happened. Obviously, there was a meeting at some point in October or November where the team decided that it wasn't truly ready yet, and things were delayed. Only this time, at least if the recent data mines from the past few major content updates from Dota 2, CS2, and Deadlock are to be believed, it appears as if Valve is pushing the envelope for its graphical and mechanical fidelity. RTGI and GPU-based particle effects, GPU-based Steam audio being baked within the HLX, a lot of things related to water, fluid simulation. Now the geometry can be deformed, not just props, and now it seems as if the engine has support for more upscaling types and not just FSR. Last year, we talked about how FSR3 specifically was implemented for HLX. We now see Source 2 is supporting other forms of upscaling within the Dota 2 update we just data mined. Do you want my theory? They decoupled from the Steam Machine. The Steam Machine is not going to be hitting the market saturation they wanted to have originally, so now the minimum spec isn't necessarily what the Steam Machine can handle, and now we understand that the Steam Machine is less powerful than a base PlayStation 5. It's very clear that Valve had something planned for 2025. Hell, they couldn't even get the final hours reprint out in time. That, in my opinion, is a bit of a signal. But in this circumstance, it does appear that the plan was for raising the bar to touch on specifically things related to the history of Half-Life 3, a game that has been in production in some regard since 2008, if you include Episode 3 alongside it. When I was first talking about the rumor, the idea that I had was that a chapter was being rebuilt. Maybe it wasn't as good as the rest of them. I'm not under that impression anymore, and from the people I've spoken to, the game, it's like, I'm not going to say the thing, and Valve sure did get very mad at Dbrand for hinting towards Half-Life 3. Expectations are high, not only externally, but internally. And of course, there's a lot of people that feel as if nothing they will ever do internally at Valve will meet expectations of the external fan base. And yes, the internet has a cruelty problem. But Valve, if I could just send you a message, perfect is the enemy of good. But what are you going to do? We're all still waiting. The game is very much still in development. It's taking up an entire floor in their office offices from what I'm hearing. That's crazy. So it really is just a matter of time. Just keep in mind, it's actually a really good thing that it survived whatever they felt needed to be quote-unquote rebooted. Many projects, especially in the wilderness, just stopped dead in their tracks when everybody realized that what they were working on was not up to snuff. Valve having a plan to be able to continue past whatever inspired their quote-unquote semi-reboot speaks to the project's overall strength. I love this stuff. I love learning about Valve's development history. I love learning about any kind of video games development history. The human element behind the production process of the thing that I am passionate about is the thing I am most passionate about. So this is a very exciting time, and we're just gonna have to keep on just keeping our heads forward. I know a lot of you are going to ask in the comments, okay, but then when? I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't think Valve knows anymore at this point. These things, they take time. So thank you so much for watching. If you want to watch these videos early and get your name in the credits, my Patreon page is down in the description below. If you'd like to keep up with everything that we're doing in this community, everything that we learn, all of the research that we do in real time, my Discord server invite link is also down there with the Patreon. I'm Tyler McVicker, the Passionate Gamer, your friendly neighborhood hype merchant, and I hope you're having a great time. If not, I hope this video was able to distract you for just a little bit and give you something to hope for. Peace and hair grease. Adios.